This is Tim.
I'm Mulele.
And this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim with Mulele in Tokyo on Skype, and we're finishing up the Irrational Comics pitch page. 5 comics that were the scripts were submitted by the writers, and Irrational Comics provided the artists, which the writers did not have to pay for to their great appreciation. And so they put up these 5 pitches, 12 pages each, and people are voting on which one they'd most like to see produced into a full-length comic, graphic novel, whatever. So we're on the last 2 this time. Concept number 4 is called Turtle Girl by Michael Norwitz. And he says that Turtle Girl is an absurdist feminist heroine. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that character. I mean, we see her driving a stake into a vampire, and then she's kind of doing Batman 66, getting a call from the commissioner and driving out in the Turtlemobile, which is a Volkswagen Bug painted in a turtle shell pattern, which is kind of awesome. Apparently driving out of the turtle cave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm kind of interested in Turtle Girl. And otherwise, we've got like some kind of cultists who are stitching together body parts to create a vessel for they say one of the old ones to join us, but they lose a hand which somehow attaches itself to a dog, and the dog is taking on some other qualities where it's kind of attacking people. And yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Although I think it's maybe the most intriguing comic of the 5. What did you think of this?
I think the concept is fine when you add the word absurdist, because it kind of works. But not knowing that bit, it just seems kind of sloppy, and it's not because the script is terrible or because the art is terrible. It's because they don't match. I kind of felt that the artwork was better suited to a more serious comic. There's absolutely no winking at the camera by any of the characters here. So there's no it's fairly straightforward. Now, as far as the artist goes, he came in, did his job. He did everything that he was supposed to do, and he did it well. It's just that I think the idea of an absurdist kind of...
Yeah, you're right. It maybe played a little too straight. I haven't read the book, but I saw the movie on the plane, The World According to Garp.
Oh, yeah.
And I got the impression, and actually afterwards I read some commentary online that agreed that it seemed like the book was really written tongue-in-cheek and the movie didn't quite get it and tried to play it all too straight. And yeah, I could sort of imagine this comic drawn by like Rob Guillory, who did Chew.
Oh, yeah.
And it might... then the absurdist aspect, I think, would come out a lot better. Where here, it's really straight-faced, like it's a serious action comic.
Yeah. It actually kind of reminds me of some Dark Horse comics that I've seen, where the concept is kind of over the top, but the artwork is so straight-laced that it has this kind of, I don't know how to take it exactly. It seems to be kind of unaware of what it's trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Part of it seems like horror, and then part of it seems like comedy, but it doesn't seem to realize that it's comedy.
Well, the picture on page 9 of the dog with the glowing red eyes is a scary idea, but it's on 2 legs and it has one human hand. The human hand on a dog just seems a little funny, a little weird. But the artist is trying to go for scary, and I don't know. I think the writer was trying to go for campy.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of felt that there wasn't quite enough exploration of the world in the script itself to pull me in. The concept is there, but Turtle Girl seems to be the most interesting part, but she's there for the least amount of time. The bad guy is really uninteresting because there's nothing to him that we know. And I'm sorry to say, but he's missing more than just a hand. And you don't need to draw him naked if you're not going to actually draw everything. Put some pants on him. So, yeah, I found it kind of weird that he's going full frontal and he's asking, why am I not complete? And on page 6, it's like everybody else in the comic has clothes except this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one guy who needs clothes more than anyone else. So anyway, I don't know, some kind of loincloth, something. But anyway, the end of it, the vessel that they were trying to make finds the dog, and they're fighting on the last page.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of wondering, why? How did this happen?
Yeah, well, 12 pages is maybe not enough for what he's trying to do here. Or else it could have been paced differently. But yeah, we don't see them meeting up. Just suddenly we have a full page panel of the Frankenstein monster-ish guy and the dog with a human hand fighting. Yeah,
and I don't quite understand how they found each other. And in the background of this epic-looking fight, there's a car that's been smashed and turned over. Like one of them picked it up and threw it. They've both got one hand.
Yeah, the dog is sort of transforming into, I mean, other parts of its body are looking human now, and yeah, its other arm is lacking a hand or a paw or anything. So I don't know what's going on with that dog. The hand is causing changes in the rest of the body.
Yeah, I mean, in the usual kind of episode format, you'd have this introduction to what happened, like the monks drop the hand grafts onto the dog, and oh, that was weird. Then you have the back to the hero and what he or she is usually doing, and then it develops, and then somewhere in the middle you get some kind of explanation by someone who is semi in the know, and we're lacking that. We're not having that, though, hurts this. We really need some sort of, like, even if a character were to just come out and say, of course it's obvious, and for no apparent reason says the hand grafted itself onto the dog, and the monster must be drawn to the dog's hand because it should be his hand. Mm-hmm. That would be fine, but none of that is there. And so you kind of look at it and think, something's missing.
And finally, Concept 5, Wanderer, by Andre Mateus. He's from Portugal. And in this story, it's post-apocalyptic. All the humans have died out, and vampires are populating the world. Except our hero, what was his name? Duncan, Idaho, is the last human-born vampire, and he is a wanderer. One of Eden. So Eden is the vampire haven. And he's one of their biker emissaries, searching for the prophesized last human on Earth, the Bloodbringer. Okay, now the opening sequence of this, we see, I guess it's Duncan is on the motorcycle, and then there are two guys on horses after him, and I guess one of the guys on horseback follows him into, which we don't really get an establishing shot of the building. I think it's supposed to be a castle. But during the sequence, there's voiceover of Duncan, someone, telling a completely different story. And that really bugged me. Because I'm trying to follow two stories at once. And it was making me confused.
Well, it's a story of guilt, but it's not really connected to anything,
right?
Which I kind of felt was a missed opportunity, because it really needs more explanation, a little bit more of the world building. We don't find out who's chasing him until much later, but we don't really understand why. We're left to assume that he was out exploring and ran into these guys and was chased back home. Mm-hmm. But he's a badass, and there are only two of them, so what the hell? I do understand him trying to get back before dawn, because, well, that's not good for vampires. But there are a couple of things that bug me very, very much. We'll start with his name. What do you think of his name?
It sounds like a town.
Duncan, Idaho?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also the name of a character from Dune.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm just Googling it.
Yeah.
Okay, I never read Dune, so...
Yeah, I saw the movie, and I watched the movie thinking, Duncan, Idaho, what a weird name. And then here it is again. It's like if you were to call him, Luke Starjar or something, it would be just a little too close to another property. It's not to say that Duncan, Idaho is not a name that can be held by another character or another person. It's just a little too there. And since this is a fiction and that's a fiction, it shouldn't have the same names like this.
Yeah. If you know Dune, that would be really jarring.
Yeah. Unless he's trying to draw some direct parallel, or even if he brings it up, like his father was a fan of Dune, or he's a fan of Dune, so he named himself that, thinking that he's like that character. That would be something kind of interesting, but no mention of that here. So,
and it doesn't seem like a name for a vampire either. Duncan the vampire.
Yeah. The other thing that bothered me was on page 2. And this is what kind of tore me out of it more than the name. Panel 1, the caption says, "Mankind has ceased to exist for over a decade." Now, this sentence suggests that mankind is gone, no more humans. But there's a possibility that they will come back.
Yeah, I mean, cease to exist is something that happens at a point in time.
It happens as a point of finality. Cease.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not very well phrased. It would be, you're bringing out the English major in me here, but so mankind has not existed for over a decade. Yeah,
it has not existed. But I mean, it may be just a little nitpicky, but it is. There are some some the lack of clarity in the sentence suggests two possible plots here. One is that they're gone, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And two is that they are not gone, but so devastated that there's hardly anyone there. The story that unfolds suggests that they think that mankind is not completely gone, but they haven't seen anyone for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that the about wanderer at the top suggests that there is a prophesized last human on Earth. So, in that case, humankind would not have ceased to exist.
Yeah. No, I think at that point you're just waiting for the last person to die, and if they're looking for some, the blood giver, if they're looking for a last meal, that's not going to go very far, even if you feed the person well and have them constantly making blood, because one person cannot make another person. You need at least two,
mm-hmm.
and then to continue humankind, I think the number is like 12. Otherwise, it gets kind of bad
mm-hmm.
for inbreeding several generations down the line. So to sustain, you can't have just one. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, trying to make a meal out of celery and water. So it just, as a concept, it seemed kind of underdeveloped. And actually, not to throw shade on all of these comics, but to say that a lot of them seem just a little bit underdeveloped. They're not quite there as concepts yet. They're rough ideas,
mm-hmm.
and maybe that's fine for the scope of what the project is. And the winner of this project will, in fact, have to flesh out their concept a lot more to get it to graphic novel size or graphic novel level. But just as far as 12 pages go, the idea is still very, very rough in their heads. And so it's rough here. And I think that kind of takes away from some of them. They could be just a little bit more.
Right. What did you think of the ending? We found Evelyn. We don't have any idea who Evelyn is. Is that intriguing or just kind of, huh?
Well, this is a book of only men. There's only one woman in the book, in the story, who is part of the High Council. And she says, we found Evelyn. Means there's a second woman. This book could use more women,
yeah,
but that in itself is not a point of intrigue. They've not brought it up as, there are no women here except this person on the High Council. I don't know. For me, yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I was kind of stretching to get there. Like, well, yeah, okay, maybe that's interesting. Who is Evelyn? But yeah, it's not quite enough to pull me in.
Yeah, it's like your friend suddenly standing up and shouting, "Hey, a thing!" It's like, okay, what, what is it? But we don't know what that is. That to land on that's not a big reveal because we don't know what an Evelyn is. If they had actually used that first background story about the dog to talk about Evelyn instead.
Yeah, this is a different dog, by the way. It's a different comic.
Yeah.
Lots of dogs and vampires this time.
Yeah, actually, if they had used that dog story and just taken that out and put in a story about Evelyn that had moved its way through,
that would have been a lot better.
That would have been a hit. That would have been great.
Yeah, if we get some, I miss Evelyn, she was my girlfriend or whatever, then it means something.
Yeah.
Whereas that dying dog story doesn't mean anything to us in the context of the 12 pages, nor does we found Evelyn. So
yeah. So it just needs a little bit more of a think through. But the concept of this post-apocalyptic, no more humans, prophecy with vampires, there are so many different ways you can go with this. Now, the first thing is synthetic blood, since there are no humans. Blood rations. How long is that going to go? Because if they're talking 10 years since mankind was wiped out.
Well, the vampires should all be dead by this point.
Yeah, dead or starving.
Yeah.
Now, they kind of alluded to the idea that the other vampires, the guys who were chasing the hero, were feeding off of each other. Why they were so crazy. But it's not entirely clear how they got this far. This group got this far.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of interesting possibilities here, but they don't really explore what the system is.
Yeah, it leaves a lot of questions. By the way, just to correct myself, the structure that he's going to, there is a panel on page 2 that shows it's just a dome that's off in the distance.
Right. About that, Eden is the place where humans were made by God.
Yeah.
But there are no humans here. What is their reason for calling it Eden?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're dying out rather than being created.
Yeah, safe haven I understand, but Eden is unless he's going just for a straight biblical thing. But
yeah, it doesn't quite evoke the right mythological thing.
Or it points to a psychology that could be quite interesting if you really got into it, but he doesn't seem to be getting into it, not in these 12 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the psychology of the situation, the rules of the situation, and the actual demands of their situation could all be incredibly interesting plot points, but none of that is explored here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in fact, if he were to just go through and answer all of those questions, he would have a crazy-ass amazing story. Because, I mean, the rest of it is fair enough. It's Mad Max with vampires and kind of an interview with a vampire garb. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and a little bit of Highlander mixed in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that completes the look at Irrational Comics pitch page. So we'll be getting into other comics next time. And if you'd like us to critique your comic, send a PDF or a link to mail@deconstructingcomics.com, and we'll read at least 30 pages and talk about it here. So, till next time, this is Tim.
And Mulele.
Thanks for listening to Critiquing Comics.